Live from San Diego, this is KUSI News.
Well, the city of San Diego is moving forward with plans to increase the minimum wage to $25 an hour for tourism workers. Workers said that this would certainly help them be able to afford living here in San Diego. However, business owners are against the idea. Here now to weigh in on the matter is employment attorney Annie Ellis. Hi, Annie. Thanks for coming by.
Hi, Logan. Always good to see you.
Always good to see you as well. I know that you read the ordinance. Can you tell us kind of what it says, who it applies to, and what some of the issues are?
Yeah, you know I love reading the actual law.
Right.
So let's start with who this is going to apply to, this hospitality ordinance. Really 4 buckets of employers: the zoo, event centers specifically by name, so Petco Park, Viejas, Sports Arena, I still call it Sports Arena, right. Snapdragon, all of those. We've got amusement parks of a certain size, so presumably SeaWorld, although they're not called out by name like Petco Park was, who is not very thrilled with this law. And we've also got hotels with at least 150 rooms. It's got some major iterations recently in the last few months since it was proposed, most recently carving out small businesses, hence the 150 rooms. What I think is interesting is there's an emphasis on privately held companies and businesses, so the city conveniently carved themselves out so that they're not going to be subject to this ordinance. Yeah. What does it do? Well, some of these ordinances do a lot of things, like, you know, rules, training, other things. All this does is really require more money. So effectively, the minimum rate wage for these workers will go up January 1st if this passes to $25 an hour. That's a big hike. In San Diego, we're at $17.25 for the city of San Diego, and the state covering the rest of the county would be $16.50.
Yeah, I think some people look at this and they say, yes, people should be paid more than $17.25 an hour. It's so expensive to live in San Diego. We've got to pay these workers more, and these are big companies. I mean, Petco Park, my goodness, and the Hyatt and the Hilton, those CEOs make millions of dollars. Why not just pay the workers a little bit more and maybe take less of a profit?
It doesn't always work that way, though. You know, when you hike up costs, ultimately the consumer is going to pay the cost, because I don't think, you know, these big businesses, especially the large ones that they think can absorb it, are going to say, oh, that's fine, we'll just take that on the bottom line. No, you're going to see that in the hotel room, you're going to see that in the ticket prices, and that's not going to impact people coming to the city, just that. It's going to impact locals. We all go to Petco Park, I'm sure you do, I do. When you do a staycation to stay at, you know, a San Diego hotel, that's going to impact us as well. So I've seen studies that say you need to make at least $31 an hour as a single adult with no dependents in San Diego in order to make it. But that's not how we come up with minimum wage laws. And so I'm not sure this is the solution. This is just more overregulation and targeting certain industries.
I think it is interesting how the hospitality industry is the one that's where the minimum wage is kind of looking to increase. And you bring up maybe a situation where if all of a sudden the hotel rooms cost more and the dinners at the hotels cost more and, you know, the tickets to the game cost more, are less people coming to San Diego for those conventions and for those vacations? And what might that do to the entire, I guess, count?
Yeah, you know, 1 in 8 San Diegans work in the tourism industry. This is a huge, vital part of our economy. And so, you know, I think we could be looking at, you know, loss in revenue and loss in workers. And like I mentioned to you earlier, this feels like LA. We're not LA. Stop targeting certain industries. We don't need specific ordinances like this. It's already hard enough to be an employer in California when you wrap in state laws plus city plus county. And so this feels a lot like that fast food bill from last year. Why are we targeting this particular area?
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll, of course, continue to follow it. Annie Ellis for us. Good to see you, Annie. Thanks for coming by.
Likewise.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Back right after this.